Okay, we should be live. Boom. Copy. Testing. Okay, I think it's working. Let me just send this link here. Okay, there we go. All right, hey guys. It's been a while. Yeah, welcome. It's been a long time actually since I've done a live stream. I think it's been nearly a month. It's just been super busy, obviously, but I've been keeping up to date with the Telegram chat. Now, I quickly wanted to kind of explain Bitcoin, the current structure, where we're at. Is this the dip opportunity? Is this the end of the bull market? What to expect for at least the next few weeks? And I want to go over Bitcoin, Ethereum. I'll briefly touch on Solana. I'm going to make a video on Doge later tonight anyway, so I'll just quickly glance at the altcoins. But again, I've explained this before too, is if I'm bearish on Bitcoin, that means I'm bearish on everything, right? It doesn't mean that, oh, Pingu's bearish on Bitcoin but bullish on Cardano. It does not how it works. So just looking at Bitcoin, there's a few things I want to touch point. Now, how did I know that we were going to see a capitulation? Well, first things first is when you're trading on the 4-hour time frame, and this is something I've talked about for a very long time, is you want to pay attention to how many times a major support level has been tested. So for Bitcoin, you can see that we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tests on Bitcoin. Now, this is the interesting part, right? When Bitcoin originally hit these levels, we were pretty much in this larger consolidation. The bulls had to break above 86.5, and you can see that we had a false breakout with a large bearish engulfing, and then of course we were again trading below our exponential moving averages. A lot of you guys in between this range right here were mentioning to look for long positions, because although we were trading in between these highs, we were still consolidating. A lot of people wanted to trade long, and I told you guys this multiple times, is when you're trading in between exponential moving averages, number one is a no trade zone, and number two, if of course we start rejecting those EMAs and then you also have this major support level being tested, more than likely you are looking for a drop. Now the question becomes is how big is the drop usually, right? And that of course depends on how many times the support level was tested. So you can see all of these folks right here were in a long position on Bitcoin. So what happened next is when Bitcoin actually broke below the wick low, right? So when Bitcoin originally broke below this level here, all of these folks got liquidated or had to close their positions, which caused the market to drop down further. Then you zoom out here and you can see that we've been in this range before again, right? We've been in Bitcoin's range not once, not twice, but now this is the third test opportunity. And usually on third test again, it becomes ugly. And unfortunately, guys, yes, we're still nowhere near the previous all-time high around 72. We still have ways to go. So yes, it can get worse from here. And again, the point of the conversation is you don't want to be looking for long positions, no matter how good the dip opportunity looks. And I quickly want to touch base on Ethereum here for that specific reason. On Ethereum, we had the same exact setup, right? We had the same exact setup, and I said, look, if Ethereum this morning lost 1750, you are a short position looking for the break structure. We shorted, and you can see we broke. And remember, I told you guys this for the past few weeks. Ethereum had no support. Look at my chart, right? I have no lines drawn in between this zone. How did I know that Ethereum was going to capitulate straight? Guys, I only trade off previous price analysis. So if I were to zoom here on my chart and look at what happened to Ethereum when we were in that bull market, when we were ripping above, look what happened here. Does this look interesting? So look, 1657, straight candle straight to 1760, right? We had no form of consolidation, no sideways action. It was just straight up. And that's why I knew that, hey, if on the bearish side of things, if this turns around, then we know that, hey, this market is looking for a capitulation candle, right? Because the same way it went up is the same way it comes down. And that's exactly why Ethereum saw such a large drop. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't expect it to actually break 1657 and again capitulate down to 1600. And those folks that saw that opportunity probably went long, and that's what explains this candlestick now, from 1600 down to the lows of 1550. So that's why I keep telling you guys, look, if you're looking for trading setups, mostly for this market in terms of leverage, you are simply looking for shorting positions. You are not looking for long positions. You are simply looking for shorting positions. Just because you think the market can't go lower does not mean anything. The market does not care about your feelings. It will go lower. And of course, when it does, you don't want to get liquidated. Ideally, you want to trade with the trend. The trend right now is all directions pointing towards a bearish setup. The exponential moving averages are being used as resistance, right? Even on a daily structure, you can see we were using them as resistance on the way towards the downside. Now you pair that up with all the noise in the market with tariffs, and you're not looking at a good situation. If we look at SPY here, you can see it. So a lot of people were messaging me during Friday and said, whoa, Pingu, the S&P is dropping, but crypto is not. So is this a fake out? I think this is a fake out. And I said the same thing. I'm like, look, usually stocks drop on Friday. We won't see the move until Sunday. And Sunday, you can see we saw the move. And now tomorrow, everything is going to be dependent on market structure. So there's going to be a lot of noise in the market tomorrow. But for us, all we're really doing is simply just playing the wick low breaks, right? All we're simply doing is just scalping this market. Every time the market structure ends up breaking wick low, so you can see here on Ethereum. So let me start from the top. From here, 1750 broke wick low 1735, 1735 wick low 1595 or 1602, 1602 low 1556. That's all you're doing, guys, is you're just scalping shorts on wick breaks. At a certain point, though, it becomes extremely oversold. At that point, you're not trading. You're simply just sitting on your hands. Have you noticed I didn't talk about Doge and Solana today? It's because we already traded Solana down from what the highs of 140 to 118, 130, yeah, whatever this high was right here. So again, for me, looking at this position, I said, something interesting in my head. I was like, look, and again, this works for all charts, right? This is how I knew that we were looking for capitulation across the board. Look at where Solana ended up seeing capitulation. This is not rocket science, guys. This is very easy to spot. Solana 112 once, 112 twice. This was the opportunity for the bulls to break. This was the opportunity for a bottom or double bottom confirmation. We failed to break structure. Solana falls right back down into 113. What happened next? First test, second test, third test, capitulation on the 4-hour time frame. Now you pair that up with Bitcoin, you pair that up with Ethereum, and all of them were screaming for shorts today. There wasn't a single bullish setup across the board, and I genuinely mean that. There was no single setup that I said this is a long position. Bitcoin was screaming for a short, Ethereum was screaming for capitulation, and I knew that, look, Solana, Dogecoin, Link, all of these charts as well are probably going to end up capitulating as well. But that becomes to a certain degree of over trading. I personally, Bitcoin easy, Ethereum easy, I'm happy with that. Ethereum was very profitable, right? So these are things, like I said, like when you have to start zooming out and saying, oh, I only made this much money. Oh, I only made that much money. That's not the point. The point of the conversation is these were very easy trades to take, and a lot of folks were not expecting a capitulation like this. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it can get worse. Now, the main conversation, or rather main question that I keep getting is this over? Is this the time to buy? What are we doing now? So let me explain a few things to you guys, okay? So starting off with the overall scale on Bitcoin. So to put it into perspective, Bitcoin at the peak was at 109, and now at the low is at 70, let's say the low here was 76. So from 109 to 76 is a decent drop. But looking at it from further perspective, the main support, the largest support for Bitcoin, again, remember for those of you that are traded with me for a few years ago or even last year, the biggest resistance we saw on Bitcoin was at 73K and 72K. So those levels, if you just look at my chart here, I know I'm zoomed out really hard, but let me zoom in for you guys. So I even have the circles drawn here. So this level here at 71.4 and this magical blue line, this was the Trump election candle. These levels were acted as major resistance. If I'm looking for somewhat considerable a bottom, again, nobody knows in this market where the bottom's going to be. So I'm not going to be that person to say, okay, if that level hits, that's a bottom and we're going long. No, that's not the point. The point is that would be a decent area for some spot position buys. In the current market, the problem is that nobody knows how long this trade war is going to go on for. There's going to be a time capitulation as well, right? So the market can easily just slowly bleed over the next few months with the trade war because, again, nobody knows how long that's going to go for. So that's also something we have to prepare. We don't necessarily want to be a spot buyer in the current conditions because, again, if I'm looking at a spot buy at Bitcoin at 79, and now let's assume that the trade war lasts for a few months and we slowly bleed down to 71, well, that's a pretty big, significant drop, right? That'll put Ethereum and a lot of these other altcoins down quite a bit. Now, I'm solely speaking for those short-term people. Now, for those of you that are long-term, and I'm talking about a 2 to 3 year perspective, the fact that Ethereum's sitting at 1593 is a massive opportunity, right? This is just for those long-term folks because, again, this is lower than the previous drop that we had from the original run. 1593. I don't remember the last time I saw Ethereum this low, and that's why there's opportunities in this market, and this is one of those opportunities. But again, if I'm looking at it from a perspective for going all in all at once, this is not this level. This is not the level. This is definitely not the level to be looking at it because this is the problem. The fact that Bitcoin has tested this level now the third time, it means the market wants lower. So yes, officially, we are in a very dangerous spot. We don't want to be a long perspective at all here. As long as we're below the EMAs, we are only looking for shorts. Now for spot positions, again, you're not going all in here because the problem is we've already tested this level twice. You're being very cautious or you're slowly adding to your positions on the way towards the downside. You do not want to be those people that go all in here and then it drops to 72 or 71 and you say, wow, market's a scam, Bitcoin's a scam. No, the reality is you were not patient. So again, guys, this is why I keep telling you, and I told you guys, I warned you this in the morning as well, is please don't long. Because if you're looking for a long, number one, you're catching a falling knife. For example, tomorrow, and I'm going to give you an example, let's say the S&P opens even lower, right? Let's say there's even more market sell-off because S&P, we have to understand, is crazy, okay? Like we can all agree that this was extremely dumb, right? So this thing hitting at the highs of 611 was very overkill again, I'm not a macro guy, I'm really not a political guy, but whatever was going on around the world, this simply didn't make sense, right? This didn't make sense. So now we're seeing that heavy correction, and that's why, we're seeing such a large panic mode in the current stock market. That's not good for Bitcoin and Ethereum in general as well, right? When there's that much panic, these are usually the first ones to go, and that's why crypto in general right now is painting a picture for the next week. Now, best case scenario, let's market, of course, Trump says, hey, tariffs were done, whatever, we're going to print a very, very, very large candle. But until then, below the EMAs, you are only shorting. Does everyone understand? There is no longs. Do not DM me asking for longs. Do not ask me, is this a buying opportunity? Do not ask me, can I go long? I'm not going to answer. All we're doing is shorting because, again, right now the trend is pushing lower. If this was not the third test, I would not care. The fact that this is the third test from a shorting perspective is very, very dangerous. Ethereum is in extreme dangerous positions right now, extremely dangerous positions. And again, if you look at it, ignoring my lines here, Ethereum is in a clean downwards trend, very clean downward trend. Look, consolidation, nuke. Consolidation, nuke. Consolidation, nuke. Consolidation, nuke. Is everyone seeing this? Do you see the problem? Is that we don't have buy pressure coming into the market as of right now. This is a simple nuke position. It's a downwards trend. Until the trend breaks and then we start going uptrend, then we start looking for those buying opportunities. Until then, you are only looking for shorts. That is it. you are only playing the market with shorts. Today was a big day for a lot of people. A lot of you guys made money on the short on Ethereum, and I'm very happy for you. But there comes to a point where also greed overtakes you, right? And that's my concern now, is the fact that a lot of you guys are over trading. Yes, Ethereum is looking bearish. Yes, we're seeing multiple wicks towards the downside, but you guys are also playing with fire. The fact that Ethereum had a clean move from 1760 down to even 1600 is a $160 drop on a 4-hour candlestick. Take your wins, close your trades, and stop paying attention to the market. Tomorrow morning is going to be our confirmation. Sundays, you guys already know I'm very, very strict about this. There's no reason to overtrade on a Sunday, and there's no reason to panic on a Sunday. A lot of you guys yesterday were saying, oh my God, Bitcoin is going up. So I had a few DMs of people saying, and I'll explain this to you guys really quickly. I had a few DMs of people saying Bitcoin's going up. So are you sure it's a bearish setup? So here was the Bitcoin going up, right? Yes, we had a Bitcoin, we had the sideways consolidation, but again, when you're trading consolidations, there's no reason to panic unless this level is broken. The previous high or previous resistance is broken. Then you can panic. But since that level was not broken, this was simply all noise, and all of this was sideways action. The overall trend was still downwards. We are still below the EMAs. We are still bearish. So this is what I mean by, if you're right about the trend, you're going to make money in this market. If you're wrong about the trend, you're going to get liquidated, right? The trend was still down from all the way up to what? When I said 106 is when I'm selling everything. I have not since said, hey guys, I think the bottom is in, we're ripping. I have mentioned that if there's going to be a bottom somewhat close to where we're thinking for the previous bull run, it should be somewhere in the 70s, right? That was just my thought process from the previous bull run. And I gave this whole idea and explained why, but I'll quickly explain it again. So if we look here on the previous bull run, there's two things that happened. Number one, we peaked at the highs of 65. We capitulated at the lows of around 28. Then we had the second leg opportunity. So what I think is happening in the market right now is simply the fact that we are just seeing the first drop, the first correction before the next leg. I still do believe there is going to be a next leg. I am still very much adamant about that. I don't think the bull market is over, but I do think that this was simply a much needed correction, Now, if you compare the charts to where we were from the previous bull run to where we are right now, we should find a bottom somewhere around here. So around the 73, 75, somewhere around there. Ideally, that would be the biggest buying opportunity. And then the next leg should look something like that. But for now, like I said, we're only looking for shorts. We're just going to continue playing the market towards the downside. When we have the confirmation, then we can start looking for long. So until that confirmation, I will tell you when that confirmation is. When that confirmation is there, I will tell you. Does everyone understand? Everyone understand? Cool. XRP near $1.90. Okay, so XRP is actually something I've been paying very close attention to, and I haven't talked about this for a while because, again, it's not at that level yet, but I think this is bullshit. And I'm being completely honest with you guys. The fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and all of these coins are capitulating and XRP is holding at its magical level, I think this is going to be the most disgusting capitulation we've ever seen. And again, I'm not, you guys already know I'm not a fan of this coin, but I'm genuinely not just saying that just to say it. The last time we had such a peak for XRP and then we saw the capitulation candle, it was disgusting, right? In one wave. So here, I'll show you guys a few BART formations on XRP. This is the current situation. So we had XRP holding above. So we had around 65-cent high. So the current level, think of it here as $1.90. So as soon as we saw wick low break, XRP capitulated right to where the move set started. Now this is a small BART on XRP. If you want to go to a higher BART, and this is the scary part, this is the current BART on XRP. And this is a BART that, we haven't seen since Bitcoin. And this is a very nasty BART that's being formed. And I've talked about this many times. And I said, look, if XRP were to lose its wick low, so $1, let's say $1.78, if it loses that wick low, the next level is $1.28, and a break of that structure, we're heading back into 75 cents. That BART formation is going to look something like this. So this is where you have to be very careful for those XRP bulls and everything like that. Until then, you're sideways, right? Until that BART, or until this wick low is broken, you're in somewhat of a safe area. It's just consolidation. But The problem is Bitcoin and Ethereum are now painting a picture for the overall market, and XRP is still holding up. So this is where opportunity comes from, right? And this is why I tell you guys, there's opportunity in this market, and you just have to look for it. XRP right now is an opportunity moment, and I'll explain why. For a short position, XRP has tested this level once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, now 7. Do you understand the problem? Is the more times this level is ending up testing, the higher chance of it actually breaking. And now with Bitcoin and Ethereum leading the way for capitulation, XRP is a ticking time bomb. And of course, if we end up losing that level, that's your confirmation for the short. So I will post this as well in Telegram so everyone is on the same page later tonight. But ideally, the take profit would be $1.28. It is a massive, massive trade setup, but we need proper confirmation. So until that wick low is lost, we are just simply watching for that level. Last but not least, before I end off the stream, is Solana. Now, Solana is still in a downwards trend. The next support level for Solana is at $100. And I've talked about this for a while now. I think $100 is going to be a major support. Any break structure of 100 and the next trade setup is 79. Here's the problem with 79. You can see that this level I've highlighted has also been tested twice. So if we lose 79, then $67 would be the ideal, I don't want to say bottom, but that would be the ideal buying opportunity for Solana. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, yes, unfortunately, we have tested this level as well 8 times. Even with the current drop, we have tested this level 8 times. So yeah, we're not in a good spot for the crypto market in general, guys. In terms of altcoins and Bitcoin and everything, we are not in a good spot. I am expecting further downside movements. Everything in terms of altcoins is looking extremely bearish. There's not a single good setup. But from a buying perspective, again, for long-term spot buying positions, I wouldn't go all in right away. I would simply slowly add at these levels. But again, long term, I'm talking 1 or 2 years. If you're buying for the next month and you're going to bother me in a month and say, Pingu, it dropped more, I lost everything, then don't bother me. Again, I keep telling you guys this. Below the EMAs, you are looking for shorting positions. Solana is not different. Solana as well. Current setup on the daily is extremely bearish. Current setup on the 4-hour is extremely bearish. Simply look for scalping opportunities and enter and exit the market. These are very large volatility periods. You don't necessarily want to be the one shorting the bottom, but again, same thing like we saw here at 112. This was a very simple trade. 112 breaks, you short, you're riding the profits. Next major support is at $100, break of that, and $79. Everyone's kind of pushing towards $79. It seems like everyone's talking about it. So I think the market's probably going to do the opposite. So for me, my personal level is going to be at $100, and I would be a buyer or at least looking for a long-term position. Now, if of course this goes straight towards the downside, straight to 100, then that's a different story. But what I'm expecting is probably a chop, something like this, ideally for this week. So yeah. But with Bitcoin leading the way for capitulation, we're not in a good spot, guys. I keep telling you this, please, please do not long. Do not long, do not long, do not long, do not long. There is no longs. Does everyone understand? Do not long. I don't care. No longs. All right. Cool. I think that's it. I miss you guys. It's been a long time, actually, since I've done one of these. I apologize. I am officially laid off from work. I had a lot of stuff to figure out when I got laid off. I have figured it out. So I will start to do more live streams. Probably... I think, honestly, I'll probably start doing them every day, which might be a little bit of an overkill. So I'll see. For now, like I said, I'll at least get a little bit more active. I've been super active in the Telegram. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed. I've been posting a lot more charts and a lot more updates. Again, my Telegram channel is completely free. I don't charge for anything. So if you are interested in joining, I will link the bio. But yeah, so everything is free that I do here. So I appreciate you guys listening and, just letting me talk and whatnot. I hope you guys made a lot of money. Honestly, today was a great day for the channel. We did short Ethereum at the highs. We shorted Bitcoin at the local highs as well. Both were massive profitable trades. I know a few of you guys took Solana and Dogecoin, a bunch of other trades. And I'm very happy for you guys that you guys are learning from this channel and just kind of understanding how to do it. But again, if you made a lot of money, guys, sit on your hands. It's okay. Enjoy your profits. Enjoy your days. Go outside. Touch grass. And the market's going to be here again tomorrow. It's going to be here every single day. There's always money to be made. And again, if you didn't make money, and you missed out, then it's okay. There's going to be other trade setups. There's going to be other stuff coming. Every single day there's a trade setup. So don't worry about that. So yeah. All right. Nab, you keep asking the same question. And no, I don't think it's over. I think we still got a lot. All right, guys, have a great day and enjoy your days. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you guys later tonight. I'll upload Doge video, and then I'll give you guys an Asia hour update in a few hours. Sounds good? All right, peace out, guys. See ya.